Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, and I'm here to bring you my final review for Season 6 of The Loud House. It's been quite the ride, and at last we've come to the very last episode of the season. Before I start, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone for watching these reviews over the past number of months. It really means a lot, and I really appreciate your support. Having said that, today's episode is titled, Love Stinks. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into my final review for Season 6 of The Loud House. In this episode, Lola befriends a skunk named Anne after Lana rescued her from the park, and finds out this animal is just as much into the glamorous lifestyle as her. However, when the time comes to release Anne back into the wild, Lola can't bring herself to say goodbye, and tries to hide her new furry friend at school. Unfortunately, Anne escapes from her locker, and when Lola goes looking for her, she's caught by both Lana and the rest of the school. In the end, Lola agrees to return Anne to her natural habitat and builds her new furry friend a little tree home so they can always see each other. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. I honestly had some low expectations going into this one, but after watching it, I can safely say this was definitely a great way to close the book on Season 6. I would also go so far as to say this was Lola's best episode of the season. While she was presented as her usual fabulous self, we also saw her developing an appreciation for nature in the form of a skunk Lana brought home when it was feeling sick. Usually, a girly princess like Lola never has anything nice to say about the wild animals Lana brings home, and she has a history of thinking they're gross just like the rest of Mother Nature. Of course she would be against the idea of having to be around a smelly animal like a skunk, but it turned out Anne, or Antoinette as Lola started calling her, was no ordinary skunk. She actually liked being fabulous, drinking oat milk, and smelling nice, so she was basically the animal version of Lola. Anne sort of reminded me of this one character from the 2012 Littlest Pet Shop series named Mitzi. She was a skunk with a Southern Belle personality, and was known for emitting sweet-smelling scents as opposed to the usual disgusting kind her species are known for. While Anne didn't have the capability of emitting sweet scents like Mitzi, she did like putting on perfume, and she rarely emitted any disgusting odors. She only did that when she was feeling scared, like when she was nervously hiding inside Lola's locker, got lost inside the school vents, and when she saw all the screaming students. But other than that, Anne was just so freaking adorable at everything she did, from how she made those cute animal noises to how she behaved. It's like, how can you say no to big pleading eyes like those? In fact, Anne and Lola hanging out together was the most adorable thing to come out of this episode. Everything they did, everything they wore, every hug, every kiss, and even doing that melodramatic pose was so damn adorable. And yes, I'm perfectly aware I'm spamming the word adorable a lot in this review, but I don't care. It's the best word to describe the relationship these two had. They had so much in common, and you could tell Lola was starting to see how animals and nature were a lot classier than she once thought. That's why it pained her when she found out it was time to release Anne back into the wild. She tried to let go. They both did actually. But the attachment was too strong, and that scene with them trying to go their separate ways in the park was very feelsy. So rather than releasing Anne back into the wild, according to Lana's instructions, Lola decided to keep her new friend around, but keep her out of sight of others by hiding her in her locker at school. This would be a good place to transition into my next positive, and it relates to certain aspects of the story. The second half of the plot featuring Lola not wanting to say goodbye to Anne was very similar to the Season 5 episode Animal House. This is really interesting because while the main conflict and the fallout to that episode and this one is conceptually the same, the main human character is different. Rather than focusing on Lana, the one character who's best known for taking care of animals, this time it's Lola, a character you'd never expect to grow attached to wildlife, assuming the role her twin would have been more likely to play. Basically, it's another animal-themed episode starring one of the Loud twins, just not the twin you'd normally expect. Much like Lana from Animal House, Lola tried to keep Anne contained in a small living space so she'd never have to say goodbye. And of course, much like the animals Lana was trying to prevent from going to Ohio, Anne escaped from the place Lola was keeping her, and she had to find her friend before anyone at school found her first. The only difference I could find between this episode and Animal House was how each twin came to realize what they were doing to their furry friends was wrong and downright selfish. While Lana was never caught in the act despite a few close encounters, Lola was caught when she started crawling through the vents looking for Anne. Interestingly, she was discovered by Lana, who figured out her sister didn't do what she was supposed to do. Speaking of whom, I think it should go without saying I really respected Lana's role in this episode. She was a voice of reason, and the lesson she learned in Animal House was carried over into this episode. Even though she doesn't directly reference the events of Animal House, she does sympathize with Lola by talking about the time she had to let go of a few friends despite how strong her attachment was. She explained how animals need fresh air and a balanced diet, as we clearly learned in Animal House, so having Anne Anne go back to her natural habitat was for her own good. Lola realized Lana was right, and she was finally able to do the proper thing and let go of Anne. This brings me to my last positive of the episode, and it's an ending that's very similar to the one from Animal House. While Lana got to stay in touch with her furry friends through a series of cameras, Lola made Anne a little tree home at Tall Timbers Park and even brought her some supplies to keep her looking fabulous. Once again, you would have never expected someone like Lola to do something like this in the past, so it's clear Anne opened her eyes to how animals and nature aren't as disgusting as she used to believe. Even with a face full of mud courtesy of Liam chasing his pigs through the park, Lola was still happy to be hugging a wild animal who she now considered an amazing friend. That ending couldn't be more adorable even if it tried. Overall, this may be a different take on Animal House from season 5 in terms of how the conflict is played out and then resolved, but in my opinion, I think this episode starring Lola is a little better than the one starring Lana. Lola grew to appreciate animals and nature, something I thought I'd never see, and she did so by developing friendships with a creature most people would want to avoid due to its unpleasant smell. Anne was a good example of how one should never judge a book by its cover because she was more into being glamorous than being a typical skunk. The pairing of Lola and Anne was just adorable, and it's pretty much impossible for me to find anything fundamentally negative about their time together. Lana did a tremendous job of teaching Lola that loving wild animals can be nice, but allowing them to run free where they truly belong is better than selfishly trying to hoard them away. It may not be a perfect episode, but for this being the final installment for season 6, I'll say this was pretty damn close to perfect. With that said, I give Love Stinks a 9.6 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Love Stinks. Now that season 6 has come to an end, I'll leave you all with one last question. Out of the 49 episodes, which one was your all-time favorite? Mine was Small Blunder with Driver's Dread at a close second. But what about you guys? Reply to the pinned comment down below, and let's see which season 6 episode you thought was the best. But anyway, as far as the rest of this episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.